Hello and welcome to Early Childhood Ireland's podcast. Our podcast features interviews and discussions on all issues relating to quality early learning and care, with a range of speakers who are leaders in the areas that matter to Early Childhood Ireland members. I'm Maura Corbett and I work with Early Childhood Ireland, and you're most welcome to this new series where we take a kind of deep dive into the area of equality, diversity and inclusion. My guest for this episode is Nickola Cullen. Nickola is the 2021 winner of the Early Childhood Ireland National Annual Awards Leader for Inclusion Award, which was sponsored by Link. Nickola is the owner and manager of three settings: Beverton Preschool and Roots and Wings, and the Roots and Wings Kindergarten, which is an outdoor preschool. And all three are based in Donabate in North Dublin. Nickola believes very strongly in the vital role of affordable, accessible and high quality childcare for all families. So Nickola, thanks for joining us today, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Hi Maura, how you doing? Glad to be talking to you.
Good. So can you tell us a bit about your settings, how they came to be set up, and the type of setting each of them is, please,
Yeah,
Nickola?
sure. So I guess we started back in 2001, where at the time I had difficulty finding childcare for my own children. I was a self-employed young mom with two very small children, and couldn't find childcare on the peninsula of Donabate where I lived. And I suppose that set me off then on a journey for the last 20 years. I think at that point it was primarily just a preschool. I opened a preschool like so many in my home, and built onto the side of my home. Started off with the IPPA, good old 10-week introductory into childcare, and that progressed over the years into a level 5. Then I did a level 6 and went on then to do a level 7. Took a break after the level 7 and did Link for a year. Found the Link program amazing. I found it very inspiring, particularly the leadership module. So that then I suppose inspired me to go back and do a level 8 for leadership and management. So I did that and finished that in 2019. During that time, we had, as I said, Beverton opened in 2001 with 20, when I think of it back now, 20 children. At the time, we would have opened for 2.5 hours a day, 4 days a week. It was an absolute joy. You were on the floor with the children every day. That was primarily what I did, with maybe a bit of studying in the evenings, and fitted it around our family life. And that was the way it was for many years. I suppose then in as the ECCE came in and the regulations strengthened around it, the need then to upskill became more apparent. And as I said, that's then when I started that journey of I suppose the educational part of it. Then in part of my degree, the level 7 degree, was that I had to undertake some work experience outside of my own setting. As I said, I refer back a lot of the time to my own experience as a young mom looking for childcare, being racked with that guilt of leaving very young children into a setting. And you need to know that it's quality, You need to know that when you're handing the most precious thing, your child, over, that they're getting the best possible care in it. So that drove me then to look into full day care. And then in 2017, I opened a full day setting. So that changed things dramatically for me. And then obviously that's been the last 5 years, have been the two services. And an opportunity arose just last year in the middle of a pandemic to open a third service. And that was somebody that was retiring locally. in a premises that had been there. And I took that over and was able to bring in, I suppose, the love that I had formed. I had a mentor, a good Carol Duffy was my Shielta mentor back in 2015-16 when I did the Shielta program. And I've had a huge passion for the outdoors from that point. So that's where we then brought in our kindergarten and our third service.
And Nickola, how many children do you have in the 3 settings?
So in the 3 settings,
now?
we cater currently for about 160 children.
Okay. So Beverton is sessional and the 2 Roots and Wings are full daycare.
Exactly. No, Beverton is sessional. So we have all 3. Beverton is sessional. We do a morning and afternoon session there. Our Roots and Wings creche, early years creche, is that is obviously full day. And then kindergarten is part-time and then after school.
Okay.
So we have an array from 2 years. We cater from 2 up. From 2 to 12.
Okay. So very busy.
Very busy. The team then would have grown from initially where there would have been 3 of us on the floor in 2002 to a team now of 25.
Okay. So in all that business, Nickola, you were nominated and were the ultimate winner of the Leader for Inclusion Award. And in your introduction, you mentioned about the leadership aspect of the courses you've done, and particularly Link being important to you. So, clearly it's a part of that interest and passion in leadership relates to your inclusive practice. Why does that matter so much to you? What drives you in terms of inclusion?
Well, I suppose firstly, just I suppose take a step back a little bit and explain where a lot of this comes from. I suppose is that when you are a small sessional service with 3 of you there, the quality is you can have ownership of that quality, but as you grow and the team grows, so the trust in all of the other team members has to grow as well. And there is a chance there that the quality can be diluted slightly. You have different team members coming in with different experiences, different levels of qualification, and different beliefs and values as well. And so the most important thing for me is to have shared values and shared beliefs. And paramount to those shared values and beliefs is inclusion. And that's inclusion for everybody, for not just the children. I think people don't think of the team members when we talk about inclusion, but it's for everybody. And having that not just as the philosophy, but as our culture within the service.
And I think that thing about having the shared beliefs recognizes that everybody has something to bring to the table, and that diversity of experiences and backgrounds and beliefs can also enrich what's available to children as well. And having those discussions to develop that shared belief can help, exactly like you say, that that potential dilution of your influence, but also the enrichment that other people can bring to it.
That's it. And I suppose that's, when we talk about collaborative practice, it's not just the collaboration with the children or with the parents. That collaboration is with the team, and it's finding a point where we're all comfortable, where we look at maybe distributed leadership or different leadership styles, and there are times for all of them. I think we've the research shows us that there's no one set style. So that's the same as the philosophy. That's the same way as we approach every single day. We have core values and core beliefs, but everything else moves. Is tangible. It moves as the day goes along.
And it's more likely to be implemented if it's shared.
That's it.
If it's imposed from, from one person, it can, not be. It's lip service.
That's
it. The more shared and collaborative it is, the more likely it is to be implemented.
And I think when we look at our curriculum philosophy and we look at our practice, a lot of those theories are the very same, whether they're for, as I said, whether they're for the team or for the children. It's the same approach when we include the children in everything, and give them ownership and give them a voice. Then they are much more likely, we know that, to benefit more from it and to feel included.
Absolutely, I agree so strongly. So, so can you take us through, some of the aspects of inclusive practice across the settings? I was looking at the inclusion charter in preparation for our conversation today, and covers things like anti-bias, physical environment, engaging families, and so on. So, have you some examples of how you implement inclusive practice across your 3 settings, Nickola?
Yeah, I suppose at the core of it all is relationships. I think that's the starting point for us on everything, and that's forming the relationships with the families, and as the very first thing that we try and do. I mean, that's before the family even starts in the service. So that can be as simple as giving them loads of information, but also listening to them about their child as well, and giving them the opportunity to share all of that information that is important to them. It can be as simple as asking a parent, the meaning of the child's name or why they chose it. It's just that starting point of building relationships on that. And from then, that building that trust and that collaboration up is really, really important. That's something that's at the core of all of our every day, really. From the moment the child enters the service in the morning, and it's obviously become more difficult during COVID when the parents couldn't enter the building. We would have children, particularly in the full day service. We would have children coming in. So this year, this last academic year, who never didn't know our service pre-COVID, so they're trusting to hand their child over at the front door because they haven't been into the service. So we've had to take a lot of measures to build up that trust. We've been lucky, I think, with the EWSS and the different payment schemes prior to the EWSS to allow us to have additional staff, and just simple tasks like allowing then the team member to spend time at the door outside to build those relationships and form the trust. Sometimes it's had to be where we've had to send more documentation home, or we're taking more photographs during the day to share with the families. Small little strategies, but they build on the relationship. Once the relationships are there, where I think everything else can be sorted out. Any other little issues or problems or challenges, when you've built that collaboration, they can be sorted then mutually between because there's that trust there.
I always feel that with relationships, that things don't become an issue to the same extent if
Yes.
there's an ongoing relationship, because the niggles can be sorted in the everyday arrival and departure kind of chat, which, as you say, is more difficult now. But it's recognizing the importance of it. I've said on more than one occasion that if you value something, you'll find a way around it. And we've seen that throughout the pandemic, that people who valued relationship with parents found ways around the challenges thrown up by COVID.
That's it. Yeah, I think also then, for what's really important for us, and again, we've had opportunities in COVID, intentionally or not intentionally, so through different closures, or if the team members are isolating, where we'll encourage CPD. I think that being educated and informed, not just, primarily about our philosophy and our values and our beliefs, but that allows the educators then to have a true understanding of inclusion, and then be able then to form, better form the collaboration with the parents and the families and the other team members within the room, so that there's trust and respect there and support within that. And that then enables, once that becomes a culture in the setting, I think it enables the team members then to support the children more so.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and that kind of comes back, doesn't it, to the shared belief bit
Yeah,
again,
yeah,
that you keep working on that and keep reflecting on, how are we doing on this? Are we still being as inclusive as we want to be, or as
yes.
we could be? In terms of the physical environment and the materials and so on, Nickola,
Mhm,
in
mhm.
the environment, have you ideas and strategies on how to make the physical environment more inclusive, in terms of not just the layout of a building, but
Again, I think it's about being
materials?
educated and informed. Materials, yeah, but I think again it's about being informed and educated and understanding that each child has and you will have individual needs. I think if we have open-ended materials, we're very much sort of heading, that sort of regio natural material. We're sort of going for that more so. So I think they allow, just in their very being, they allow for every child to be at their own level with it. We are our curriculum philosophy in all three services is the same, and it is inquiry and interest based. So we take the child's lead in everything, and very much follow their lead. A huge amount of our time is spent outdoors. Certainly in our full day setting, it's our goal every day to be outside for a minimum of 3 hours. And in the outdoor environment, we're very lucky where we live in North County Dublin. In Donabate, we have huge natural resources all around us, forests and parks and beaches. So we use that environment all the time. So for us, it's very much about offering the environment, making sure that it is set up to allow children to independently choose their tasks, and providing us those opportunities is what our goal is. We don't have learning goals. Our goal is to provide the opportunities. We're not looking for children to reach any particular stage at any time, so
Okay.
that we're very much understanding that every child will do it in their own pace. And when you have a play-based curriculum, when your philosophy is an emergent play-based, that allows the children to work at their own pace.
Mm. And in terms of, you mentioned earlier about the relationships and the partnerships, and even things like asking families the meaning of children's names, and that,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
which is so respectful. And it's something that always annoys me when I sometimes hear about a name that can be maybe unusual to us, and
Yes.
that we would consider difficult to pronounce.
Yeah. Yeah.
So somebody
Yeah.
decides on a nickname. It's such a,
Yes.
it's names matter to people.
Yeah.
That's how do you, if parents don't have English as their first language, do you have access to translation services, or would you have staff from other countries who can
Different
support with that?
countries who can support with it. We haven't had too many parents because of where our demographic is, so we don't tend to have too many. But all of those resources are there. I mean, I think now with all of the things, the apps and all of the different supports we have from technology, are there. And as you said, we had staff. We all have. I think most settings now have access to staff. The internet has all the posters, and any of the things that are needed are very, very easily translated if they're not there already. So I think that there is loads of options there for everybody. So for us, when we have children in the rooms, for example, at Christmas, when we would send home, it goes home all the time, but at Christmas particularly, asking families what their traditions and cultures are, and that can be something as I might have had one of the team members saying, we've only got Irish children in our class, but that doesn't mean that somebody's nana isn't from Cork or the Wren boys, or that they have very local traditions, and that they're really important to find out as well. Or whether the tradition in your house is that Santa leaves a stocking at the end of the bed, or everybody waits on the stairs to come down in the morning together. All of those are family traditions, and they're as important to us. Those small little things are important. So we're a big lover of learning stories in all three settings as well. Again, that goes back to Carol Duffy's influence on our Shield to Mentor from years ago. But we're a big lover of learning stories. And one of the things we've done now is bringing the parents, asking the parents to come in. They come to our outdoor environment and meet with the key worker on a one-to-one with their child, and they'll go through their learning journal and look at and just explaining a little bit the importance of it and how it can be used as a transitional tool between the setting and home. And with it, we found if we do it early enough in the year, we do it in about October, November, and then the parents are much more on board with that. And that's a lovely then area for them to document all of those different experiences and cultures in it. And certainly there we have had one or two of our team members would have helped and translated some of the words for the parents and helped them to write back to us and the children in the books.
I think that recognizing of family traditions is so important, that there isn't, just one Irish way of celebrating Christmas or Patrick's Day, and it helps you stay away from the stereotypes then when you're recognizing the individual traditions and beliefs and customs of families, regardless of where they come from. Because I think it's one of, lately with a couple of colleagues, we were talking about gender stereotyping and this thing of, it being so hard to buy neutral baby clothes, that they're all kind of pink and sparkly or blue and strong men kind of attitude. And really, there's so much work that we still have to do in terms of challenging some of those stereotypes. That recognizing the individual beliefs of families can be a huge help with that. So, it can seem like a very basic step, but it's a very important one in terms of addressing the needs and beliefs of all families and children. So, Nickola, is there anything else I think you've outlined some very kind of practical, easy to implement ways of supporting inclusion and diversity within the setting. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I do think for anybody that hasn't done it, I think quite a few at this stage have. The Link program, I think, was super. It had some great ideas and great supports in it, and I think that has opened up, another channel for teams and to come together and to learn from each other. I think is really, really important, but also that the support is there. I think that's for the team, that there is support there for them. I think it's really important.
And it's another learning community. It's broadening that group of peers in the wider sector who can support each other around the areas that are covered in the guidelines. So, Nickola, thanks a million for taking us through that. And I think, as I say, it's just really good to see that they're simple things, starting with relationships, and that really, if you get the relationships right, so much falls into place. So, Nickola, thanks a million for taking the time to chat with me today. And thanks to everybody for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please share the word, and we look forward to your company the next time.